Hello, my name is James Spiro, and this is the Roadshow Plus event brought to you by Calcalist and Poelim Tech. I'm joined now with Erez Shachar, the managing partner and co-founder at Qumra Capital. Erez, hi.
Hi, James. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time. So it's been a year. We've had quite a tough time in 2023. What can you tell me about some of the things that we've seen, aside from the obvious trends that we'll address in a sec, but some of the more nuanced things? What have you noticed?
Well, it's been an interesting year. Generally, we've seen a global sea change in the tech world since the beginning of 22, the burst of the 21 bubble, if you want. And, we've been affected by it like the global tech market. But we've had some challenges of our own, with what's been happening politically in Israel over the last year. So, the tech sector in Israel has taken a very surprising leading role in trying to fight the judicial reform in Israel, getting very politically active during this year, leading the way, I think, in a lot of the civil movements that arose here during the last year. And I think that this has been a transformative time for Israeli tech, not just in the business side of things, but also, getting it much more involved in the social and political landscape of Israel.
Okay, thank you. That was the first kind of half of 2023. Obviously, the second half of 2023, Israel's battled an entirely different challenge.
Absolutely.
With the aftermath of October 7.
Yes.
How has investment and Startup Nation been affected by that specifically?
So, I think it's a bit early to tell. Okay, and there's no question that the events of October 7th have stopped all, investment activities initially, and you expect that, when big crises happen. And we are in a wait-and-see position to see, where things are leading to and when we will see, the fighting over and so on. So we're not expecting to see a lot of investment activities until things, change on the geopolitical front. We have seen a lot of activities in the Israeli tech community of supporting the existing portfolio in both financial terms and in any other levels of support that we could provide as investors and as a tech community. This is especially true for early stage startups, which are most challenged during this period. There has been a few public-private programs built in an attempt to provide some runway to companies that were in the fundraising process and stop the fundraising process now.
Well, I want to touch on those companies, as you said, maybe the early stages that were in the middle of fundraising and sadly had to discontinue. What advice would you give to those founders who find themselves having to extend their runway with what they have, or whose fundraising has paused? What advice would you give?
So, I think it's a different challenge for early stage startups and for later stage startups. Startups that are already in more advanced stages, the stages that we in Qumra invest in, have a different type of challenge. They need to extend the runway from their own resources, meaning companies that are already in the market and selling need to try to extend runway on their own dollars. Companies that are still pre-product and are in development stages need to find external resources to support them, and that's a bit challenging right now, but there are a few programs that are dedicated to that, both governmental and private money that is being put to work in extending runways for 6 months, 9 months, a year for startups in the early development stages.
Wow. Well, it's a tough time. We've ended a very difficult year. I'm hoping that 2024 has a bit more calm, but let's see. I would hate to play that game of predicting. Erez, thank you so much. Wishing you all the best for the year ahead.
Yeah. Can I just say that?
Yes, please.
I think that it's very difficult to be optimistic currently when things are as chaotic as they are. But I have no doubt in my mind that 24 is going to be an incredible year for investments in Israel, because we are currently in a big crisis that has started about 2 years ago at the burst of the bubble, continued through the political turmoil in Israel, and then, of course, during the October 7th events and the war that preceded, that succeeded that. But now is a time in which there is a huge deal flow of companies that is awaiting financing, and there are great companies out there, very little capital available for these companies, but I have no doubt that the good companies that are out there are going to be funded and succeed.
Amazing, Erez. That is an optimistic note to end on. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.